In this video, I'm going to show you a step-by-step process that allow me to create a nutritional plan for fat loss and help me to get from here to here. This is not the only way to create a nutritional plan for fat loss. This is something that helped me and many of my clients. First step, we have to define how much weight we want to lose. This is very straightforward. For example, let's say you weigh 200 pounds and you want to weigh 150 pounds. So we know your goal is to lose 50 pounds. But sometimes you're not sure how much weight you need to lose to look the way you want to look. For example, you might think that you have to drop 20 pounds to look in a certain way, but in reality, you might have to drop 40 pounds. And vice versa, you might think that you need to drop 50 pounds, but once you drop 30 pounds, you're actually satisfied and happy with the way you look. So instead of solely going by the weight goal, we can also go by the body composition and based on your body fat percentage. What I like to do is show my clients a different body composition based on body fat percentages. I'll let them choose where they want to be and then create a goal based on that. Once we know our body weight goal or body fat percentage or body composition goal, then the next step is to figure out the length of one fat loss phase. One fat loss phase takes around 8 to 16 weeks. If you are a less experienced person and you're doing a fat loss phase for the first time, I prefer to go on the shorter phase, around 8 to 10 weeks. If you are a little bit more experienced, meaning that you have dieted before successfully, then I like to go a little bit longer phase, around 14, 16 weeks. Then we have to identify the weight loss goal per week. The sweet spot that I like to go is around 0.5 to 1% of body weight to go down per week. For more experienced people, I lean towards more 1%. For beginners, I prefer more a slower type of approach, around 0.5% of body weight to go down per week. So for example, let's say you weigh 200 pounds and your goal is to lose 0.5% of body weight. The simple math for that is 200 times 0.005 equals 1 pound per week. That's how much weight we want to lose, and you're not gonna lose exactly the same amount every week, but on average, we're looking around to lose 1 pound per week or 4 pounds per month. Once we know our weekly weight loss goal, then we have to figure out our calorie maintenance, and we can accomplish that by using certain calculators such as Harris-Benedict formula, where you plug in your weight, your gender, your age, your activity level, and based on that is gonna show you how many calories you need to consume to maintain your weight. However, that's not my favorite way to calculate your calorie maintenance because it just gives you a ballpark. It's based on averages and it's not very accurate. It can vary based on a few hundred calories even, which can make a big difference for an individual. What I prefer to do is to track calorie intake for around 2 weeks by using MyFitnessPal, where I track my calorie intake, my protein, fats, and carbs, and based on those averages, I can determine how many calories I need to consume to maintain my weight. If I'm eating consistently for around 2 weeks and my weight is not going down or up, then I know I'm in a calorie maintenance. Once we determine our calorie maintenance, then we have to create a calorie deficit. In order to lose weight, we need to be in a calorie deficit, meaning consuming less calories that we're burning throughout the day. In order to create a calorie deficit, we have 3 ways to do that: by just eating less or decreasing our calorie intake from food, increasing our activity level, or a combination of both. To keep in mind, the most powerful way to create a deficit and the most effective is your nutrition. So I prefer to focus majority of my time on nutrition. And the way we can create a calorie deficit is by lowering the calories from carbohydrates and fats. In our previous example, we had 200 pounds individual times 0.5% of body weight, because that was our goal per week, equal 1 pound. And in order to create a calorie deficit, we would use that number, that 1 pound, times 500. And that will equal obviously 500, which will be the amount of calories that we need to subtract from our calorie maintenance. So for example, let's say after 2 weeks of tracking our food consistently and monitoring our weight, we figure out that the amount of calories that we need to consume to maintain our weight is 2,800. So then what we would do, we would take 500, subtract from 2,800, and that would equal 2,300 calories. And this is the amount of calories that we need to consume in order to lose 0.5% or 1 pound per week. Typically, we would create a calorie deficit by lowering the calories from carbohydrates and fats. Protein, we need to keep around 1 gram per pound of body weight, which is very important to preserve muscle mass. And also protein are the most satiating macronutrients, which is very helpful when we are in a calorie deficit, because one of the most common problems when we are in a diet for fat loss is sensation of hunger. So protein is going to allow us to feel more satiated, more fulfilled. That's why we like to keep the protein relatively high, again around 1 gram per pound of body weight. Distribution of carbs and fats can vary based on individual. Study shows that as long as the calories and protein are equated, the distribution of carbs and fats don't really matter when it comes down to weight loss. However, there are certain caveats to it. Carbs are very important for performance. They're also protein sparing, meaning that if you're consuming a little bit more carbs, it's gonna allow your body to actually use protein what they were supposed to be used, which is for building and repairing. And fats also, we don't want to drop the fats completely, because fats are responsible for different metabolic processes, our hormones. So we want to make sure that we don't go lower than 0.3 grams per pound of body weight of fats. But the distribution of carbs and fats can vary based on individual eating preferences and activity level. Another thing that we can do is increase our activity level by adding a little more cardio to create a bigger calorie deficit, or lowering the calories from food by around 250 calories and then adding a little more cardio. That again also is going to depend on the individual preferences, how much they are currently eating, how much cardio and activity they are doing, and also the schedule. For example, if they are already doing a lot of workouts, they're training 5-6 times a week, they're training very hard, adding more cardio activity level would not be a good option for them. And vice versa, if they're eating very little food and they are very hungry, cutting down more calories from the food would not be best strategy. Then it would be better to increase the activity level. So it really depends on the circumstances and the person's preferences. Once we created our calorie deficit, then we want to monitor our weight around 2 to 3 times a week, or even more, ideally on the empty stomach, minimal clothes or no clothes. The same time of the day, I like to do it in the morning after I go to the bathroom, because that's going to give you more accurate indication of your weight, because the weight can fluctuate a lot. You might have water retention, you might have food in your stomach if you're checking your weight in the evening. So I prefer to check the weight first thing in the morning with minimum clothes. That's going to give you more accurate indication of your weight. And after we're following our nutritional plan, we are consistent with it, and we're losing weight, we're just going to continue with the amount of calories that we are consuming. However, over time, your body will adjust to the amount of calories and you're going to stop losing weight. So then we have to make some adjustments. If after 2 weeks you see there's no weight drop, then we would decrease the calories by around 250 or increase your activity level. All the strategies can be modified. They are not solid rules. There are certain strategies that we can do, but it really is going to depend on the individual schedule, eating preferences, the amount of training that they can realistically do, and calories that they can do. So those things can vary, but the main thing to keep in mind, in order to lose weight, we're focusing on making sure that we are in a calorie deficit and we are consuming enough protein, again around 1 gram per pound of body weight. So just to recap everything, first we need to define our goal, either a weight goal or body composition goal. Then we need to figure out how long is going to be the fat loss phase, around 8 to 16 weeks. Then we need to determine how much weight we want to lose per week, around 0.5 to 1% per body weight per week. We need to figure out our calorie maintenance by using calculators or tracking our food for around 14 days or 2 weeks. Then after we figure out our maintenance, we need to create a calorie deficit by either dropping the calories from your food, increasing activity level or combination of both. Then we are monitoring our progress by checking our weight frequently, ideally on the empty stomach first thing in the morning, and then after 2 weeks make necessary adjustments. If we continue losing weight, we're gonna keep doing what we are doing. If we are not losing weight, then we either dropping the calories or increasing the activity level based on the preferences.